When it comes to destination skiing and riding, we've done some pretty crazy things over the last few years. But earlier this month, we fulfilled what was perhaps the most hyped trip we've ever run, our first ever PeakHouse trip to Japan. This was an absolutely extraordinary culture shock, with not just a group of 25 people getting immersed in one of Asia's coolest countries, but some of the most unique skiing and riding terrain we've ever experienced. So how exactly did the first PeakHouse Japan trip go? Did anything go wrong? And what does this mean for our future? Well, in this video, we'll go through just that.
I came on this trip for the vibes, and there are vibes, that's for sure.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're about to jump into one for the bucks. If you know anything about skiing in Japan, you already know there's one island that's especially known for powder, Hokkaido. So that's where we started. We grabbed everyone from the new Chitose airport, had a quick lunch, and picked up our very Japanese rental vans.
You want to show everyone something cool?
I don't know how to close it though.
Then, we drove to our first stop, which those of you who have visited Japan before probably already know about, Niseko.
Niseko White Villas, here we are. 11, oh, this is us, this is our group.
Normally on these PeakHouse trips, we prepare groceries for the house with a quick Costco run, and there actually was a Costco pretty close to the airport. We were able to pick up some snacks from that Costco. However, due to the exceptionally high snowfall, the road to Costco was closed when we needed to go back to get meal prep materials, so we had to sub that Costco run with a trip to a traditional Japanese grocery store.
Sandwich cheese? I think so.
Might be sliced cheese.
Yeah. I don't think we get cream cheese slices though. I think that's a little too disgusting.
Excessive. That's too funny.
Oh, it's meant to be like
And
a
what is this?
triangle. I'm not gonna eat the seaweed though.
First impressions?
Not bad.
Not bad, okay.
Red bean pancake,
Red bean pancake.
It's so good.
right?
But after that interesting Japanese cultural immersion, we were still able to slap together the ingredients needed for a sufficiently familiar pasta dinner for night one. And then, it was time to do group intros.
My favorite day that I've ever skied was in Vainabato, Chile, when we got 20 inches of snow. This is probably the most likely trip that will replicate that.
And then time for a good night's sleep, because there was a solid powder day in the forecast for our first day on the slopes. Spirits were high that Japan was going to live up to the hype. I also went into this day missing a very notable piece of equipment, but more on that later.
Ready to shred some Japao? You guys seem really excited.
Attention all Annupuri gondola users. The Annupuri gondola is currently very crowded.
Alright, what are we doing, Steven?
We're wrapping the board, you know? Yeah.
What, you think it's funny? You think it's a joke?
No, they take it very seriously.
But some eye-opening Japanese alpine immersion aside, we were here for one clear reason, to test out the snow. And to tell you that the Japan powder that morning lived up to the hype is actually the understatement of the century. Those first few turns were some of the most incredible any of us had ever had in our lives.
Oh my god. This is amazing. Oh my god.
It's a groomed run too.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Unbelievable.
And they were followed up by seemingly unlimited refills.
Whoa. This is wild.
For some in our group, it was their first time ever in powder, but they did a great job.
Yeah, just like send it. Don't turn. Just send it. Yeah. There you go. Oh.
And with the conditions that incredible, we had to make our way up to what's perhaps Niseko's most infamous lift, the pizza box.
Singles pizza lift?
There's two of them. I don't think that's the famous pizza lift.
Do we have to go like way to the left?
I think we just cut left, but I don't think we have to cut way left.
This is a one-person chair, an exceedingly rare beast in today's capacity-minded ski world, and almost as notorious as the lift itself is the lineups it attracts.
The pizza box lift, here we are.
Some people in our group had feedback on this lift, especially one person who said he wanted to make sure that this was highlighted especially for snowboarders. They said it was awkward to load, and that it scooped them up in a way that they hadn't ever experienced before. Also important to note that no one who voiced these complaints had ever been to Mad River Glen before. If you know, you know. But exploring that terrain off the pizza box lift was such an adventure that we're going to leave that experience for another video.
I think that was the best run of my life. That was amazing.
Some fancy air blowing later.
Okay, that works really well at getting the snow like out of the car.
And it was time for a lunch break.
How was it?
That was absolutely incredible.
I got up to here.
After a very quick lunch, it was back to the slopes to get some more fresh tracks. Oh, and we witnessed this.
Oh my god, did you see that?
Luckily, not someone from our group.
Actually, having bubble chairlifts is
Kind of nice.
necessary. It's just, like, it just makes perfect sense.
After those fancy bubble lifts, it was back to some powder turns. Now's a good time to tell you the piece of equipment I was missing. My poles.
Yeah, how are you not using poles? Why not?
The why is because I got my poles stolen.
But then, me not having poles ended up having its first consequence.
Oh, sorry.
My bad.
My bad, that's my bad.
Got that on camera.
That was like the first real consequence of me not having poles.
Right, okay, I rolled over you.
Yes. Okay. That's why I have a helmet.
And then, we all made it out of those trees in one piece. However, the same couldn't be said for one person's gear.
You lost the pole?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
A tree truck that was hidden, and then one pole vanished. I spent the whole time looking for it, and nothing.
Yeah.
I gotta steal someone's
We're
pole
going
then.
to the pole shop together tonight.
I think a third person needs to go to the
Next
pole
time,
shop, too.
pink poles.
Alright, you want to see a cool exercise? Oh boy.
Oh, do this one?
Yeah, just like hold your pole and just try to keep it as parallel to the ground as possible.
Eventually, we ended up at a new part of the resort.
This is not where I thought we were going.
Nah. I think we are in Niseko village.
Yeah. No, all the gates are closed.
All of them?
But while we couldn't go through the backcountry gates that afternoon, we did find some absolutely incredible off-piste terrain in bounds.
This is a little steep.
This is the steepest thing I've seen.
Make a pole. Take a branch and make a pole.
Oh boy.
Oh!
I thought he was doing it on purpose.
Is that just me or was that in slow motion?
That was definitely...
Despite all this silliness, that happened to be one of the most untouched powder zones of the day.
No, we got it. We got it. It'll be on YouTube.
And it was a worthy end to what was already an incredibly packed day one.
One pole!
So we made our way back to the condos. Or at least attempted to.
Ooh. Oh boy. That is not what I was expecting to see.
But once we made it back home, it was time to start operate with some uniquely Japanese 7-Eleven snacks.
No. I'm Mega. Tough gummy Mega.
I'm Trojan. I mean...
And finally, some of us decided to end the evening by exploring the Japanese nightlife we'd heard so much about.
Yeah, Did you want to wait? This is like the waiting area. Okay.
Hey guys.
What do we think, guys? We're in the waiting area. Sorry, excuse me. Oh yeah. Oh.
You're just doing it for the video.
But after an eventful night out, we had to get up early because day 2 was going to be a busy one covering the rest of Niseko. And the snow from the day before hadn't exactly let up.
Yeah. Wait, do you see that car? It's called a Honda That's.
That?
Like with the apostrophe.
I'd also arrived in style with a new set of poles.
Nice pole.
I'm not gonna lose them?
It snowed so much that you already have accumulation on your GoPro.
Really?
It wasn't long before we found some terrain that lived up to the hype.
Okay, there we go. This is the beta.
This is almost G3. Honestly, might be better than G3.
Oh boy.
After those universally acclaimed powder turns, we found our way onto an interesting gondola that, let's say, was less universally acclaimed.
So what do you guys think of this unique setup of gondola?
It's great if you realize it's 2 and 2.
Yeah, I think
3 and 1.
Yeah, I think 2 and 2 would have been a lot better.
From there, we decided to check out some of the less touched parts of the mountain.
Trees?
These trees are good.
And with a morning that flew by faster than we could have imagined, it was time for some Japanese-style soda.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Cheers.
All right, what are we about to do, guys?
Strawberry Fields? Yeah? Give it a try.
Hey, how hard is this gonna hurt if I fall?
Don't do that. I do not want to take you to the hospital. But believe it or not, the first incident in that area did not have anything to do with a hand injury.
Oh! That was random.
They're just spread out in the whole trail, like
Yeah.
blocked the whole thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. He just like tipped right over. Like he literally, his front skis dug into the back of my binding.
But it didn't stop there. The dude tried to spin the story differently to his friends, literally right in front of us.
Oh, really? Look at the tape, man.
Yep,
Look at the tape.
I have it on camera.
As the afternoon went on, some of the slopes and jumps started getting more skied out than others. Oh, that was a rough landing. And there was another collision.
It was just like,
Yeah, I had the same issue. I got that on camera. We'll see whose fault that was. But we still found a few more powder stashes before the end of the day, and then it was time for our third and final night in Niseko. We started off the night in a local onsen and then headed out to dinner. Some of us headed to a local ramen shop and made a new friend along the way.
Making new friends.
While others of us had a different outlook.
Photo, what were you expecting?
Looks intimidating, but I'm excited.
Oh my god.
I know what that is. Wow. I mean, it's not terrible, actually.
So that was an interesting evening, to say the least. But we couldn't think about it for too long, because the next morning we were packing our bags and switching locations. Next stop, skiing at Rusutsu.
I think Sam's gonna appreciate that choice of music.
Here's proof we arrived. This was the first day we arrived to the slopes where the skies were blue. But it quickly started snowing again when we made our way out of the parking lot.
Whoa.
But that wasn't the only surprise of the morning.
So, snowboarding through a theme park was not on my bingo card for this trip.
No, it was not on mine either. I noticed they don't give us snowboard covers at this resort.
Not here, no.
We also had an interesting introduction to the resort's signage upkeep.
first thing I did this morning was like, oh, let's walk over to the trail map. And I'm like, oh great, the exact part we need to see is missing.
But the real reason we were at Rusutsu was for the tree skiing. And it wasn't long before the mountains started to deliver.
Whoa. This is cool. This is really, really cool.
I just stopped to admire what we're experiencing right now.
This is super cool.
Oh my god, I just pole planted and I landed on a bamboo. But after that, it actually got better.
Going through here, I mean, it is gorgeous with like these trees.
Woo! Oh, this is so sick. But we weren't allowed to go literally everywhere. We learned that around the same time we also learned that Rusutsu is not as catered to English speakers as Niseko.
What does the sign mean? Danger, high risk of death, do not enter.
Are you sure it's not closed?
Should we Google Translate it?
Of course, no skiing.
You would think you would write that in English.
There were also other things that we didn't hear in English throughout our time at Rusutsu.
If Japanese resorts have one thing down, it sure is loudspeakers.
Yes. And bubbles that literally just
chop your head off.
And it turned out that those bubbles chopping your head off was theoretically true in more ways than one.
I was scared I was gonna hit my head on the chair.
Yeah, I was actually a little scared that you were gonna do that too.
I jumped and I was like,
Bro, I didn't expect a bump, but it
Yeah, that was an incredible day. Not only did we get powder the entire visit, but those trees were the first truly distinct terrain that made us feel we were on a foreign continent. But before the end of the Rusutsu day, we had some major drama brewing. First off, one of our trip goers had an unfortunate incident when trying to unload. Wait, oh my god, it's his backpack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, the backpack.
This happened to you too?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Oh my god.
I thought we lost you for a second.
Yeah, that was crazy. Also, we had a deer that greeted us in the middle of the road, and that was paired with a reckless driver that almost caused an accident. But neither of those incidents matched in comparison to what was about to happen next, We'd planned for the 4th night of the trip to take place in Otaru, a port city on the Sea of Japan that we'd hoped would provide a flat backdrop away from the hilly conditions of the mountains. We in fact booked a hotel just 2 blocks away from the water with the intention of keeping things convenient and flat. But flat it was not by any circumstance. Rather than a level drive from downtown Otaru, which was indeed mostly flat, our hotel was up an extremely steep, inclined road that wasn't plowed and involved some rather, let's say, complex driving to get up. We all made it up in one piece, but let's just say we probably won't be replicating this hotel stay again.
Yo, can I get a beer?
After that eventful check-in experience, there was only one thing to do: decompress and hit the town.
Whoa! Oh! I warned someone, I didn't warn everyone. We should do a slippery one.
That actually was not even intentional.
We did eventually find some food worthy of a port town.
I like how he thought this is for 2 people.
The next morning, we couldn't get out of that set of roads fast enough, and we made it to our next resort, Kiroro. Kiroro is known for being the snowiest resort in Japan, but unfortunately today, it seemed to also be the most closed resort we'd visited so far.
This is closed the whole day?
I think.
Sup, gang?
Thank you.
Hey.
Morning.
Heard there's some lift holds.
Yeah, most of the mountain.
Most of the mountain is on hold. Excellent.
But we made the most of it.
Why do they have these structures?
Yeah, that's interesting. You want a tow?
Yes.
There you go.
Sync up with your hops. There we go. Woo! All right, I got gravity.
Nice. Good job.
Then we were off to the races. Kind of.
Unhinged. You good?
Yes.
Oh boy.
It turned out the snow quality wasn't quite as light and dry as the other resorts we'd visited the last couple of days.
Looked a little heavier than the last couple days.
And we saw that in action again firsthand with a nice surprise on the chairlift ride up.
As you can see, there is snow on the lift towers, and Eric and I just got nuked by a massive plop of it, and now we're trying to recover.
Oh, wow. I was overheating before.
Yeah.
With the smaller footprint and so many lifts on hold, not everyone thought Kiroro was worth the stop.
It's a little sad coming from the last 2. Everything's closed, basically. There's like 500 inches of snow that we can't touch.
But then, before all hope was lost, it seemed we found something genuinely worth skiing.
I'm almost back down to the bottom. Let me know if you want to come out. Ethan and I found a good spot to ride.
We found a spot.
Let's go. Let's go. We're ready.
All right.
And finally, we found ourselves riding powder again.
That was good. That was great right there. All right. Give us your second review of this resort.
Yeah, after further consideration, you know, you just got to go exploring a little bit.
So we did eventually find a few good lines of powder to ski through.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
But with so much of the resort still closed, we decided to call it a day early and get a head start on our 3-hour drive to the next town we'd be staying in. And with the extra time, we made a pit stop for some cultural immersion at a Japanese mall in Sapporo.
How you feeling about your food?
Great.
Great, excellent,
Fork.
amazing.
What do you think? It's good? Oh my gosh.
That by far is the cutest one.
Here for the cats, man.
We found the cat.
So adorable.
They were just wrestling a second ago. It was so cute.
Whoa. I want to take one.
The animals were certainly a highlight, but after a bit more exploring of the mall, we got back on the road and eventually made it to the accommodation for our final stop in Hokkaido, Furano. And this time, we had a whole suite of downtown condos to ourselves. With check-in out of the way, there was nothing left to do but go on another 7-Eleven run.
It's very crispy.
I feel like he started nodding before he
What is that?
Is that a croquette?
It's the agadori chicken. It's just bomb.
Tears.
How is it?
$12 Canadian.
Hits the spot.
We started the morning off with the most relaxed breakfast we'd had in a while, and then it was off to the slopes. It hadn't snowed in a couple of days, so those of us with the proper backcountry equipment decided to go on an adventure to find the POW.
What are we doing right now?
The backcountry skiing snowboarding registration form.
Are you gonna register to ski/snowboard in the backcountry?
I suppose I am.
Don't let that idiot Nick on the backcountry.
That whole area up there looks like an amazing hike.
Yeah, that's gonna be incredible.
And that is indeed where a small group of us decided to kick off the day.
We got 5?
Yeah.
Once we thoroughly checked that our beacons were in working condition,
Nice.
it was time to go into the backcountry. But we had to be very careful about route planning, even if some of the terrain looked really tempting.
We don't want to cross the ridge. This would be so fun if it didn't get us into a
this would be
really...
fun if there wasn't a 3-hour hike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great photo, though.
But while we couldn't let ourselves commit to something that foolish, we did continue on to some pretty interesting terrain.
Woo.
This is awesome down here.
This is pretty awesome.
But then, we stumbled upon one of the coolest things we'd seen all trip.
Oh, what is this?
Who put this down here?
The dam was pretty cool, even from the backside, but getting around it was going to be interesting.
Oh boy.
It's
a little thin cover.
Skis are too long for this.
I'll give you a little space.
Yeah, you got it. I think you got the right idea.
Yeah, just watch out for your
Oh no.
bases here.
But the sketchy exit was worth it.
Oh wow! Let's get a picture here.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Holy that's so pretty.
Mid-run onsen, boys.
Cold plunge onsen.
That was pretty cool. And with the hype fully set in, we decided to follow that up with another backcountry gate. But this time, we may have been a little bit too hyped and gotten a bit carried away following the powder. Now, if you stick to the left about here, you can get back and downs rather easily if you know the mountain. But if you go further right, it's a little bit more difficult. Can you guess what happened?
Are we? Going up. Oh. It's an adventure.
We're going to have to cross another creek.
Oh god.
Wow, I don't think anyone has their skis on for this one.
You don't think it's sendable?
It may be. If you'd like to try, I'm more than happy to watch and record.
Oh. And you have to take them off anyway.
But after some walking and a little bit more traversing,
We're cross-country skiing, guys.
we finally made it out.
So you guys think that was worth it? No.
Absolutely.
But after that situation, we stopped in at the lodge for a well-deserved lunch and to regroup with the crew.
Yo, what's up? How's your skiing been? Good?
Oh yeah, this is about to be the spot.
We can pull up some more chairs.
Can I get a picture of that?
Later that afternoon, we decided to take it a little easier.
I never thought I'd say I enjoy cruisers, but after like 5 straight days, it's nice.
But after that more casual end to the day to round out our time in Hokkaido, we made our way out for our final night on the island. First, an important lesson at dinner.
You see how there are beans in this edamame bean?
Yes.
So the beans are the edible part. The sleeve of the edamame bean is not edible. It's like eating a chewing gum wrapper if you eat the whole thing.
I did not realize that last night, and I chew on that thing for like 10 minutes.
And then, a staple of Japanese culture. But after a week on what was arguably the snowiest region in the world at the time, it was time to depart. At least after a, let's call it, fun start to the morning. But for several of us, that wasn't the end of our journey. We headed back to the new Chitose airport, checked our bags again, and hopped on a plane from Hokkaido down to the main island to keep the resort tour going. Well, at least most of us checked our bags.
So we're here at the airport, and we have one person who has not checked a single bag. You want to tell us about your setup?
Yeah, everything I brought on the trip, including ski boots, is right here.
We touched down in Tokyo in what was the first of many legs of the journey to Hakuba Valley. In a very convoluted but decidedly immersive Japanese experience, we took our bags on 2 Tokyo subways to the downtown train station, the high-speed Shinkansen bullet train to Nagano, and a public coach bus to finally get to Hakuba Valley for another few days of skiing. We made it for a very brief morning of skiing and riding the interconnected resorts of Hakuba 47 and Goryu, before we noped out and took another shuttle to Happo-One instead.
I think north.
It is going north.
Okay, Happo-One? Happo-One. Yeah.
Oh. Yo. What's up, gang?
Leave it to the camera.
It wasn't long before we were tempted to go off the groomers.
You ready to go on an adventure? Sure.
No. Let's do it.
But we didn't get too far before realizing it was not a Japao day.
Wait, hold on. I would actually not do this. This is like East Coast Glades.
But unfortunately, in making that off-piste influence turn, we missed our chance to easily make it over to the Happo-One gondola to get higher up the mountain.
I'm not 100% sure, but I did see several people walking with their gear on that road in a direction that looked vaguely like a gondola loading station.
Let's walk. Yeah, I need some exercise.
Turned out we were right, and the gondola actually was within a convenient walking distance right through town. Unfortunately, we ended up making a wrong turn.
So I have a feeling that this resort is not going to get a good rating on maneuverability.
So it looks like the mountain is that way.
I was gonna say, you don't know where you're going.
No.
This place. I don't even know what that's trying to say.
I think we gotta go this way.
I must take a picture of this. Hold on. We're going back the way we came.
This is our scavenger hunt. You guys signed up for adventure.
The gondola is hike to terrain only.
But eventually, after an incredibly roundabout journey, it seemed like we did find ourselves back on the right path again.
I think the gondola is actually that way. Like, I'm not kidding.
And eventually, we did make it.
Well, the good news is I think we found the gondola terminal.
And quickly discovered this would be another backwards facing gondola ride.
I'm scared of heights.
I'm scared of snow. I'm scared of skiing.
We were also scared of potential avalanche danger, and we ruled out backcountry terrain when we got to the top.
Are we doing this?
So I would say that that seems like a foolish idea with the avalanche danger being a 3.
And the visibility and snow conditions were not helping either.
Also, in the visibility today, it didn't look fun.
No, absolutely not.
Like, this is better than the average day on the East Coast. That's maybe true, but not this season.
And with all of these factors combined, something happened that basically made me call it a day.
This is like 90 degrees. 90? It's like maybe 43. But imagine the content.
The content of me at the hospital and not being able to go on any other trips this year.
The run itself was steep and had absolutely horrendous lighting, but we all made it down the roughest part in one piece. However, that is when I let my guard down.
You good?
I am good.
Woo. What happened?
I'm pretty certain when I take off my goggles.
We got a yard sale going on here.
Is it still recording? No way it is. Oh my god.
That's why it's important to wear a helmet, folks. I was totally winded and disheveled after that fall. I did get checked for a concussion and luckily did not have one, but my goggle did imprint my face hard enough to give me this nice black eye. Luckily, we happened to be mere feet away from the perfect place to stop in for a break.
Oh my god. Do you want your emotional support man?
After that, the goal of the day became to get back to the base and grab a shuttle back to the accommodation as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, Happo-One's resort setup did not make that all that easy.
Stuck riding out of a slow fixed grip double.
Yeah.
Classic.
It turned out we were able to eventually make our way down to a base, but it wasn't the right one.
I don't actually know if we can make it to the gondola, but if we can, we'll probably have to go from this direction.
Turned out we couldn't directly get to the main base and ended up at the base of another double lift.
Where even is the gondola?
I think it's actually right behind these trees.
Can we just take this lift?
Or so we thought.
Hold on. Oh, it's possible.
Well, it actually seemed like we were making progress through our makeshift traverse.
Seems to be working.
Looks like more lifts.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our luck ran out before we got to where we needed to be, and we ended up at the base of yet another double chair. We tried to see if we could just leave from there.
Bus stop?
Why don't we ask? We'll do a little bit of on-the-ground research.
So if you're going to Echoland, you need to go to a different area. It's got a little notice here.
Oh.
So we would not, in fact, be able to take the bus, and our only way out was just to suck it up and actually just get on the double chairlift this time. But when we saw the first chair number plate, we realized the extent of which a commitment getting back was going to be.
Yeah, when there's more than 150 chairs on a chairlift, it's a long ride.
And when we got to the top of that, we weren't even sure if that was going to be the end of it.
Okay, I really hope you give this mountain extremely low on
navigation. Yeah.
Turns out we're just doing it wrong, and there was like an obvious way. You literally can't navigate this place.
Wait, hold on. There's a way, like literally we can get to the second tower of this lift and then cross over.
We did in fact track down to that second tower, which was literally 500 feet up from where we started despite that whole circuitous route taking us another 15 minutes. but thankfully, we did actually make it out this time and got back home in one piece. We went out for an authentic Japanese barbecue dinner. Then, we got a quick drink. But the night overall was pretty low-key, and we headed back to prep for our final day of skiing and riding. Today's Hakuba Valley resorts, Tsugaike and Cortina. Unlike the day before, we actually got some snow overnight and we're expecting a return to powder today. We got up bright and early to make the 7:30 shuttle bus to Cortina, which is the northernmost resort in the valley and often home to the best snow conditions when it's a powder day. But unfortunately, other people had the same idea, and we couldn't even fit on the bus. Another bus came 20 minutes later, but it only ran up to Tsugaike, so we had to rearrange our plans.
Alright, let's go to the powder haven, guys.
Let's do it.
But starting at Tsugaike ended up being a pretty cool decision after all, and we found ourselves in some of the coolest tree skiing, or let's call it vine skiing, we'd ever seen.
Vines to the ground are wild.
Yeah, that is incredibly cool. Although please don't shake them.
Why? You don't like the snow?
Yo, a plume's just gonna fall on my helmet.
However, the conditions did certainly leave something to be desired.
I think this is the first time I've skied blower on crust.
And we did end up leaving for Cortina after only a couple of runs.
For Cortina. All right, safety bus, 2 stars.
2 stars? That's not a lot of stars.
We made it to Cortina, and it was clear that the storm had furnished this resort much more favorably than Tsugaike.
Holy moly.
Ow!
Hell yeah.
This is the move.
You want to grab on? I'm not going to.
You actually gotta time this not to hit the rim. Those were some of the best lines of the trip.
That was incredible.
That was an awesome set of lines to round out our time skiing in Japan, especially given the traffic jam we got stuck in on the way back.
Can't believe that took 2 hours.
And we decided to end our time in Hakuba with a dinner at an authentic traditional Japanese restaurant. The next day, it was back on public transport to head back to Tokyo. But rather than leaving the country altogether, we took a few days to explore the city and everything cultural it had to offer. First, the vending machines. Then, it was time to go shopping.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
Trap was a lady.
I'll just stand in the back.
We also checked out some touristy places.
Here, wait. Is everyone in this? It's a video, but...
And did some touristy things.
You're just chilling with this cat.
It chose me.
Pretty scarf.
Whoa, so fashionable.
And finally, we rounded out the trip by introducing the world to a Peak Rankings jellyfish. But then, after nearly 2 weeks on the other side of the world, our time in Japan unfortunately had to come to an end. Now, this trip certainly had its ups and downs, but I don't think anyone would argue that it wasn't the experience of a lifetime. We skied some of the best snow of our lives, ate absurdly good food, and stumbled into the kind of adventures you'll only get when you're exploring a new country with the right group of people. And best of all, it was proof that a multi-resort and multi-island ski trip to Japan can be done with all the camaraderie that comes with a typical vacation with friends. Japan absolutely delivered, and this one locked it in as a PeakHouse staple going forward. And actually, we'll be back twice. Next year, we are doubling down on PeakHouse Japan and offering it across 2 separate dates. We're also offering plenty of other international PeakHouse trips over the next 12 months, with a handful of spots still available on our Chile trips this July and August, several trips to Canada and Europe next winter, and for those of you who like warmer weather, we've still got some spots for our PeakHouse hiking trips to the Matterhorn in Switzerland and Canada's Banff National Park this June and July. All of these trips are filling up incredibly quickly, even a year out, and we expect the early bird spots for the Japan, Banff, and Switzerland trips to be gone pretty soon. If you want to snag a spot, don't miss your chance to sign up while you still can. For more information on over 100 ski resorts around the world, check out peakrankings.com. Special thanks to our Peak patrons, and see you for the next one.